listening to the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast. I'm Sarah.
I'm Erin.
I'm Bree.
And I'm Rachel.
It's another episode to get out your eating pants, ladies. I love these episodes so much.
There's power tools involved.
We've got props. We have things that are, I was about to say edibles, but things that are edible.
True.
Maybe
we don't want edibles. That's a different episode.
Different
time.
And I have an elastic waistband, so I am prepared.
Yes. I got
do
buttons
this.
on the side of my overalls so I can just let them go.
I love
Let
it.
her rip.
This is a recipe card, ladies. And in honor of our mutual joint, we're all traveling to Wisconsin very soon by the time this episode drops. And so we thought we'd have a recipe card in homage to something Wisconsin-y. So, Erin, what did you pick?
Well, I decided to do some research into what would be quintessential Wisconsin dishes. And there are a lot of brats and beer cheese soup recipes, but those did not feel right for this time of year. I mean, they're always delicious, but I wasn't feeling it. So I looked further, and it turns out many, many Wisconsin recipe lists highlight the cream puff. And this would not have occurred to me.
Yeah, no.
But apparently the Wisconsin State Fair is known for cream puffs. It's a classic treat at the Wisconsin State Fair. Now, have any of you guys been to the Wisconsin State Fair?
I've been to the Wisconsin State Fair.
Hey, I have
That's
not.
where I
Did you eat a cream puff?
I did eat a cream puff, and also I ate deep fried butter, and I'm not ashamed to tell anybody that. Sorry, I have mosquito bites all over my legs. I'm like itching. Everything was so delicious.
Yeah.
Like the cheese curds and
cheese curds.
I probably easily gained 30 pounds. 30 very delicious pounds that day. I haven't been to a state fair since, and quite frankly,
it's ruined you
Did it
forever.
ruin you?
I feel like it ruined me forever. Like
You peaked at
no
the
one
very
else
beginning.
can compare.
Yeah.
But
Minnesota might try.
it might. Iowa I hear is pretty good too.
That's not surprising, though.
So yeah,
That's
Yeah.
like hotbed of really great state fairs.
Exactly.
delicious.
Exactly.
Pig farmers, basically. So yeah, it is so good. I'm so excited for this day right now.
Excellent. Well, so I selected the cream puff, and then I started looking at recipes, and I got excited, I'll tell you guys, because the website Serious Eats. It is a fun website, a fun rabbit warren of a website to fall down for anyone who's interested in culinary adventures. And Serious Eats had they had two sections on it. First, they had a section on the cream puff itself, and then they had another very intensive deep dive into choux pate, which is
What's your
the
favorite thing?
dough that you use to make the cream puff.
Oh, like
that's what it's called.
CHOUX,
Yes.
not SHOE.
Correct. You're right. Yes. Yes.
What is
By
it?
the way I pronounced it, was my accent. Choux pate. See?
And I know you're a foodie, but choux patties do not sound delicious.
That took me a hot
I
second.
mean, okay, and to be fair, the choux is actually the word for cabbage. And that is because they look like little cabbages.
They do.
Oh, yeah, I can see it.
Cream are technically cabbage creams, creamed cabbage, but that's not. Everyone knows that's not what it means. But choux is cabbage. So
This makes a lot of sense.
this is a fun little tidbit of food slang. Petit choux, my little cabbage.
My little cabbage.
So I looked at that and it was great. Now, when I then shared this recipe link with the other ladies and said, we are going to do cream puffs. And I was like, here's the recipes that I'll be using. Rachel was like, looks very involved, the most involved thing I have ever attempted.
Which was a total lie, but it was extremely intimidating because
It
anything as fancy as a cream puff, I just assume is hard.
Yes. And honestly, there is so much in depth. It does make it feel like it's very intimidating. And so I said, okay, hang on a second, though. This should not be intimidating because I remember making these as a child, still living at home. And oh, hang on. I've somehow not silenced my phone. I'm so sorry.
That was me sending a message to the chat.
Brie and I are over here messaging about the pictures she's taking.
Hashtag complicit. Hashtag
Apologies.
complicit. I'm sorry. Please. I'm sorry. Please
I
continue.
knew I wanted
so
to bring my
excited about
phone
it.
because I need to take pictures while I'm of this. I haven't assembled it yet. So anyway, sorry about that.
My fault.
So I was like, no, I have made these. I made these when I was a kid living at home. I'm like, my mom, in her red Betty Crocker cookbook that she got when she got married, I could picture it in my mind,
really?
the cream puff recipe. So I was like, okay, hang on a second. So I texted my mom real quick and I'm like, Mom, you gotta take a picture of the Betty Crocker cream puff recipe for me. And she did. Of course she did. And so she sent it back. And anyone who enjoys all of the nuances and learning some of the science behind the way things work or some small things you can do to tweak it anymore, by all means, dive into that Serious Eats link. It's going to be fascinating. You will love it.
You can get like an elective in chemistry from this recipe.
It's great. However, what it boils down to is honestly the exact same thing that's in the 1972 Betty Crocker cookbook, which has been the same recipe that it's been for like 200 years from France. Like they're all the same base. Now, the other interesting thing that you should know about this basic dough, it shows up everywhere. So if you learn to make this, and it's super easy, friends.
It was not hard.
Not at all.
I needed Betty Crocker to hold my hand, but once we got down to it, we managed to make it happen.
Simple. Yeah.
So
you can make so many other things.
I was going to ask, what other kind of stuff do you think of?
So, churros. The delicious Mexican donut. Yes.
What?
Churros are a choux pate base.
Really?
Yes.
Oh
Crullers, the French donut.
I love
also
crullers.
the choux pate base.
Those are my favorite donuts.
Now, Rachel noticed a real similarity with Yorkshire puddings, and they
Yes.
are very similar.
I love a Yorkshire
Only
pudding.
slightly different, basically, in sort of their baking approach, but the basic ratios are almost identical.
It's basically the same dough, except you boil the choux dough before you bake it, whereas the Yorkshire pudding goes straight from the mixing bowl into the muffin pan. But we love Yorkshire puddings in my house.
Which is then also similar to the Dutch baby.
Yeah.
Beloved favorite of mine.
Love those.
It's a big pancake.
Yes.
For the uninitiated.
It is a pan-sized pancake. Serves the whole family. Unless they're my family, then you have to make two.
Exactly. And you can make them in many shapes. So I made these in the classic cream puff, which is sort of intended to be a single serving. It's a little bit bigger than a baseball, maybe. Not as big as a softball. You could make it bigger, probably. I think you'd have to tweak
they're
your
bigger in Wisconsin.
time. I'm sure. You have to just use more dough and probably cook them a little longer.
That, I think, is the difference with the Betty Crocker cookbook. Using that recipe, they said make 6. Use, what did it say? Scant quarter cups. 1/8 of a cup would have been more accurate to what actually turned into 6 balls of dough. But then I remembered in the 1970s, portion sizes were smaller. Like when I use recipes from that era and it says makes a dozen cookies, it doesn't make a dozen cookies the way I make them.
Right.
So, you can learn something.
Survived back then.
Exactly. But you can also make them very small. And then you have little bite-sized ones. That's another thing. You can shift them into, you make them into eclairs. You can add cheese to them, and then they are gougères, which is a savory little appetizer item.
My word. That sounds amazing.
You can, use the dough in long strips instead of balls, and then you have an eclair. You can pipe it into a ring, and then you have a decorative item that you can use on your dessert, sort of making like a pastry ring.
Oh my goodness.
So it's super, super I don't know.
Versatile?
What's my word? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Versatile. That is exactly the word
Thank
for
you.
it.
You're welcome. I mean, what?
And then there's also the millions of different flavors you can do filling wise. You can take this in a sweet direction, which is probably most typical, but you could also fill this up with chicken salad, and then you've got sort of a fancy chicken salad presentation.
I feel like the fancy tea parties I've been to lately have something like this with chicken salad in them. Like their little chicken salad bites that look really similar.
That would be very doable.
Actually, so that reminds me, and if you don't have the answer to this question, we can cut this out. But like, because I've eaten my fair share of chicken salad croissants in my day. How is this different from that?
It is, I would have to say, it almost couldn't be more different.
Okay. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
At least in like classic preparation, like preparation wise, croissants are so much more involved.
Yeah.
They are a layered pastry where you're doing a lot of folding and rolling and folding, and there's butters layered in between them so that you get that flaky situation. This one, you are cooking it on the stovetop, and everything is melted together, and
so
it's
flaky and good.
Right. It rises from a completely different action than the croissants. So, I mean, I suppose they have somewhat similar ingredients, but I don't think croissants have much in the way of eggs. I would be surprised if they
This
did.
looks a lot
This has
eggier.
lots of eggs. This is eggs.
So for my money,
Yeah.
if you want to do something fancy to present your chicken salad, this one's a lot less work.
Oh, so much less. And it does look fancy.
It does.
Absolutely. So recipe-wise, let's give a quick overview of this. So
It's beautiful. I just can't
I know,
stop
we
looking
gotta-
at it.
we got to do this, and then I got to get going with making it.
This is so exciting.
The last step here. So recipe-wise, I appreciated, honestly, Betty Crocker knocking it back for us in the 70s and making only 6 cream puffs because you can easily, this is very adjustable. You could make 3 cream puffs because Betty Crocker calls for 2 eggs, which means you can easily divide that down to 1 egg and still have a very manageable recipe.
Yeah.
And you can then multiply it also quite easily. So you need a 1/2 cup of water, a 1/4 cup of butter. I'm not even going to say margarine, even though Betty Crocker does suggest
Betty Crocker assumes that margarine is the
I know.
default, and it's so funny to me.
It's the 70s.
It's the 70s.
So we're just going to ignore that. 1/4 cup of butter, 1/2 cup of flour, 2 eggs. Boom.
That's it?
That's it.
Wow, that's super
That's
simple.
what's in this.
That's so cool.
Yes. Here's how you make it. And I should have done this first. I forgot to preheat my oven until I was already into the recipe. And then I was like, let me get that started. You do need a pretty hot oven. So heat your oven to 400. Next, you're going to boil your water and then melt your butter in the water. So once the butter is totally melted in the boiling water, then you add your flour and lower the heat, stir it up. It's going to stir up very quickly. It's not going to be lumpy. It's very quickly going to form into this paste that holds in on itself. It's a special paste. It does not cling to the sides of the pan. I don't understand. It's culinary magic, okay?
It's the butter.
It's the butter in it. Yeah.
Whole stick.
But like, I feel like trying to make a roux sometimes, there's a lot more effort into it. This is
You're right.
nothing. It's just boom. It's immediately a magic paste. Then once you have that, you're going to take it off the heat. I left mine off a little extra long because my pan is a cast iron enameled pan, and so it holds the heat quite well.
I actually moved the gloopy ball into a different bowl because I was afraid I was going to fry my eggs.
Another solid solution. So you don't want it to be quite hot enough to cook your eggs.
Right.
Okay. But it can still be quite warm. You just don't want your eggs to immediately scramble.
Yeah.
So then you add in your eggs, stir them in, beat your eggs first, and then just stir them into that. Use a fork, beat it into
I started with a wooden spoon and switched to a fork.
Same, exactly. I was like, ooh, this needs a little extra help. So then I used a fork, and quickly it then incorporated, and voila, you've got your dough ready to go.
So beautiful.
So this morning, I got up and I started this process at 6:22. And by 6:50, my oven was finally fully preheated and I had them in the oven ready to bake. Okay, so this
That's
is
so fast.
It would have been faster if I had remembered to start preheating my oven when I should have.
But see, you told me, and then I was able to cut your cooking time down by about 15 minutes by preheating while I boiled my water.
Exactly. It's so
fast.
stinking fast.
How long do they?
So, yes, then they need to bake for 35 minutes. So at that point, I jumped in the shower and carried on with getting ready for my day. Wow. Once they bake, they puff up. Everyone's always like, oh, don't look in them. That might make them fall. They don't fall. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay. I peeked in my oven. They were fine. They didn't collapse.
I did too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you cook them for about 35 minutes or so. They're going to be puffed up and beautiful. This was one thing I did from the Serious Eats suggestion, since I knew I wouldn't be serving these until later in the day. I poked a little bit of hole in them on the side road, or on the sort of near the top where I was going to take the tops off to fill them. And then I put them back in the oven. I turned the oven off, put them back in the oven with the oven door cracked open, and left them in there to sort of dry out a little bit.
Smart.
So that they would not get super soggy as they sat longer and longer through the day. But if you're going to use these right away, there's no reason to do that. And you could totally use these right away. They're going to cool off very quickly because they're full of air.
I was so happy with how quickly they cooled off. I pulled mine out of the oven like 20 minutes before we were supposed to record. And 10 minutes later, they were cooled off enough that I could put my filling in. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. This is magic.
I know.
It is. Now I'm gonna quickly make some whipped cream and fill these cream puffs.
You've made the puffs.
It's
time to make the cream.
It's time for this.
So impressed.
And then I'm gonna stop talking for a while, and Rachel's gonna tell us her opinion on how hers turned out while we enjoy them on this side.
Okay. Well, while she's whipping the cream, I will say I looked at the Betty Crocker recipe for the cream filling, and I said to myself, that looks like a lot of work. I'm just going to whip some cream, because that was another option. So I whipped up the cream, added a little vanilla, because, and some powdered sugar, and there we go. Made sure it was nice and whippy, and I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I was extremely scared about this recipe, but anything that's filled with whipped cream is going to be delicious. I think I forgot to pre-beat the eggs before I added them. I will do that next time. I just plunked the eggs straight in and started beating them into the batter. So I think a little pre-beating attention would have helped. But all in all, I was scared because I looked at this recipe and I'm like, this is awfully bland. Flour, butter, eggs.
You're right.
That's all. I was very tempted to add some sort of salt or seasoning or something to the batter, but I didn't, and I'm glad because they don't need it.
Trust the process, girl.
I really should. And this is just delicious.
Yeah.
So thank you, Erin, for forcing me to do something that scared me and ended up not being scary at all.
Awesome. I love that.
This is so fast you can make it like while you're recording a podcast
True
episode.
Story. So what's in this cream situation? It was a cup full of milk 2 seconds ago.
This is the classic heavy whipping cream, sugar, and vanilla, just like what Rachel made.
Nice.
Honestly, the suggestion, and this was from Serious Eats, of making like pastry cream or pudding, which is what I feel like I grew up with, was like a pudding filling.
Yes.
Also delicious.
Kenji Lopez Old is trying to kill me, obviously.
Yeah. Okay, hang on.
Look at that.
You gotta have
the
the hat. And hang on.
What?
We're gonna put some powdered sugar on top to make it extra beautiful. And then I gotta
Nice.
have yours, but I will have a quick picture with mine.
Erin, Alter, you spoil me. I do want to have this little nugget here just to test
that's for you. That's the eggy filling.
The dough here. Oh my gosh.
I love the eggy filling.
We got Martha Stewart in the house with us.
Okay.
Well, and so
is, the more beautiful.
I hear what you say about the pudding. That sounds delicious too. But if you offered me my choice between a bowl full of pudding and a bowl full of whipped cream, I would go for the whipped cream.
Oh, whipped cream.
You could put
fruit on that. More photogenic.
I think
one.
Yeah, that one.
I think that one. Yeah,
that one can be yours. I'm gonna take a quick picture.
I'm actually portrait mode this.
Okay.
Let me do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just headbutted the microphone. Sorry.
Okay, while you guys are doing that, I'll tell you my quick story.
Yes.
So I obviously can't eat one single part of this, but, and I was like, oh, that's okay. My week is super busy and I just won't make it this time and I'll just enjoy your own recipe. And then my brain was like, no, you must have a challenge. So I was like, how could I possibly make this for myself at all?
This is a really sturdy fork also. It's so
It is
heavy.
a really sturdy
Feel
fork.
how heavy that is.
Oh, it sounds heavy.
It's a 5-pound fork. You drop that off the Empire State Building and someone is going to die.
So then I was like, well, I bet my almond flour cookie recipe would work because that works for everything. So I was going to like buy a mini cupcake pan and like make 2 halves of a mini cupcake for the outsides and then attempt to whip something up for the middle. And I think the blueberry ice cream that I figured out how to make last week would actually work as a suitable filling.
Yes.
Because it's fluffy. It's kind of that consistency. I did not do that. I was like, I wonder if collagen in milk would whip up into something thick. Let me tell you, it does not. I tried it this morning. It just makes coffee creamer. So I have delicious coffee creamer in my fridge. Also, a pro tip, most of you probably already know this, but if you put just liquid into a food processor and turn it on, it will explode everywhere outside the sides of your food processor.
Whoops.
So learned that too, but I really want to attempt this at some point with something.
Oh, do you know what this tastes like? I bet they also use the shoe batter for this or dough or whatever it is. Tastes like an ice cream cup. Like not the waffle cone.
Yeah.
But the little cups. And
Like
I
a
love
cake
those,
cone?
especially when they're got the ice cream all soaked into the bottom. So good.
Mm-hmm.
That does seem like it would be similar.
This is so good. I'm so sorry, Sarah. Are you sure we can eat this in front of you?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
It looks amazing.
It is. Mine's gone. I did that while Erin was dishing up.
Wow.
Does it kind of taste like a cruller? Cruller.
A little bit. A little bit. I mean, it's not deep fried.
Oh, that's fair.
Like it's different formats and stuff, but you can see like it's a sibling. Yeah.
They're cousins.
College roommates.
And now I'm wondering if, because I have 6 people in my family and there were exactly 6 cream puffs. And now I'm wondering whose cream puff I can steal. Because mine is gone.
Go!
Yeah, I need another one.
Wisconsin. Eat your heart out.
You guys live well up there.
Wonderful with
Wisconsinites.
this would be fresh berries.
Yeah.
Oh,
With
With
ice
the
straws.
cream.
Oh.
can I get a
Almost
picture of
like
your
a-
face, Bray?
Yes.
Almost like a strawberry shortcake situation. Instead, it's like a strawberry whipped cream with cream puff.
Brie has cream all over her face.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I love it so much.
You gotta dive in, bro.
Yeah. You said fork, and I was like, why are you eating this with a fork?
True. Do we have napkins by chance or no? Am I on my own?
Just dive face
You're
first into
Okay,
it.
that's fine.
We have a
fork
break
required.
after
Didn't
this
think of that.
podcast. That's
Yeah,
all right.
normally I do think of that, and I didn't this time.
It's all right. I'll save it for
I
later.
brought you an actual fork and an actual plate.
But no
True.
napkin.
No napkin.
It's
No
fine.
napkin. I'll wipe it with the plate.
Would it be appropriate to put any like spices in the dough to make it a variety with like, I don't know, cinnamon or something? Or would that be weird? Is that inappropriate? Would you be breaking
know.
French baking laws?
Probably.
I mean, yes, I'm sure you're breaking French baking laws if you do that. Absolutely. They're very strict about that sort of thing. But that said, I don't feel like I've ever heard of anyone doing it, which makes me think it's just not very good.
It might not
Like
be.
they've tried it and they're like, well, we're not going to talk about this.
Or
Like,
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe that would
You
be
know.
more appropriate to put in the whipped cream.
That's what I would do. Yeah, I could see some cinnamon and nutmeg in there.
absolutely
Really tasty.
chocolate.
Maple.
You could take it many different directions with the filling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Salted
So-
caramel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
pumpkin,
many.
like you could make it like a Thanksgiving version with the pumpkin sort of a filling.
When pumpkin spice season
Pumpkin
comes.
pie.
Pumpkin spice cream puffs.
Woo!
That's going to be a new
Puffs
thing.
stuffed with
Yeah.
other cream puffs.
You heard it here first, friends.
Cream puffception.
Absolutely.
Remember when cupcakes
Just,
took
like,
over the
wolf that
world?
down.
True.
Just like I've slammed it. I'm done. Bria's still
I think this will
favoring
cream
hers.
puffs.
I have just consumed the entire puff. I started after her and I'm
Impulse
finished
control.
before her. Boom, done.
We're recording another episode after this. I think I should have brought you guys some coffee.
I've been practicing impulse control.
Yeah.
I think it's working.
So here's one more thing, little thing that I'll tell anyone who's out there trying to figure out how much whipped cream should I make.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, one, I learned that whipped cream is going to about double in volume once you whip it up. So that is one way to give them, like, think about how much end product you want to have and then make. I always would, err on having just a little bit more than I think I need because you can't really have too much.
True story.
But, yeah, for this, I chose to do 1/3 cup of cream for each of us. So 2/3 cup of whipped cream that then I whipped up.
That was
So
a very satisfactory amount
agree. I feel like
of whipped cream.
Yeah,
it
not
filled
at
it very
all.
nicely.
Yes.
It wasn't
It
too
did.
much.
You could also, with this recipe, there's no reason you couldn't make this into smaller portions if you wanted to do it. So make yourself 8 cream puffs out of the same batter.
True.
Yeah.
So like I said, these you can adjust size-wise very, very easily.
Could you top them with chocolate?
Absolutely.
Or does that become an eclair?
No,
then at that
no,
point?
it's still totally acceptable. That's toppings by all
Sprinkles.
means.
Yes.
And make more whipped cream than you need, and then do like I did and put it on your coffee.
Exactly.
Or just eat it with a spoon.
Exactly.
I might have done that too.
Yeah.
No judgment here.
So
Nope.
In this household, we eat whipped cream out of the can straight.
Uh-huh.
and yeah, if you have an immersion blender, I am always surprised at how quickly that does actually blend up a very small amount of whipped cream. So that's like with a full-on blender, sometimes
yeah.
you feel like, oh, do I really want to get the whole thing out? And anyway, and it's sometimes awkward to get into a small container if you're trying to make a small amount.
Yeah.
But most immersion blenders seem to come
Yeah.
with this smaller cup
Like 2
sort
cup
of thing that
Yeah.
fits. It's especially made to fit your immersion blender. And then you can whip up very small amounts.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Amazing.
Well,
cream
I'm calling
puffs.
it. Let us say that cream puffs are the new cupcakes. They are the new macarons.
Yes.
And let's bring this 70s recipe back.
That's right.
Resurrect
it's
In
that.
honor of Wisconsin.
Really good. There are a lot of 70s recipes, and I'm like, just die. Let them die and be forgotten.
Yeah.
That's fine. But this one is
Yeah.
a winner.
Yeah.
So if someone's listening in Wisconsin right now, you should like bring us some cream puffs at the convention.
I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, no
Just saying.
pressure, but no pressure, but whatever. But
We like them, is what we're saying.
yes.
We didn't know how much we liked them, but now we know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ladies, if you love cream puffs too, / if you make these all the time and these are your actual cupcakes, we want to know about it. Also, we'll see you in Wisconsin, I think. I don't know. I think this one drops. Hold on. Let me check the calendar really quick. This might actually drop when we're in
Just
Wisconsin.
saw you in Wisconsin.
Oh, wait, just kidding. This one airs the Friday where. So we're currently in real life at LWML.
bring us a cream puff. Bring us a cream puff. We are at exhibit booth. What's our exact? I don't even know.
I don't even know.
Okay, well, whatever.
We are currently in real life in Wisconsin right now. I should have
Right.
checked the calendar before we started recording.
Whatever.
That's okay. So yes, we'll be seeing all of you in Wisconsin, and it will be great if you check us out at LWML. We also want to know that since this is our homage to Wisconsin and LWML. Join us in our Facebook group, join our community, and tell us all about it. The Lutheran Ladies Lounge on Facebook, and also our Instagram page at Lutheran Ladies Lounge. Share us your favorite cream puff recipe, although I'm assuming most of them are pretty much the same. So, but your pictures, we love pictures of food.
Yes.
At all times.
True.
So share those with us also. You can also join our e-newsletter in the show notes for this episode or send an email to lutheranladies@kfuo.org and we'll get you signed up for that e-newsletter. You can find all of our podcasts at kfuo.org/Lutheran Ladies Lounge or on your favorite podcasting app or on the KFUO radio app. You're listening to the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast. I'm Sarah.
I'm Erin.
I'm drifting away into a cream puff coma.
And I'm right there with you.
And now we're going to record another episode. So woohoo!
Yay! Dude, cream puff gauntlet. Instead of pie gauntlet?
Uh-huh.
Someone come to our booth and pie me in the face with a cream puff. And that's an order.
Views and opinions expressed on the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast may not represent the official position of the management or ownership of KFUO Radio, the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. The Lutheran Ladies Lounge is produced by KFUO Radio and available at kfuo.org or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a review for us too. If you love the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast, consider financially supporting our producer, KFUO Radio, so we can keep doing what we do. Find out how at kfuo.org/give.